Hello and welcome. My name is Garth Sharif.
I'm Josh Seger.
And you're listening to The Fraud Complex, a podcast where we unpack wild true crime fraud stories, and we are officially in the true crime genre on Spotify and Apple. On today's true crime genre podcast, The Fraud Complex, we're going to go into possibly a few things. This could be a public service announcement, could be seen as that, could be seen as very self-serving, possibly self-destructive and professionally destructive. And to quote Job, have you seen Arrested Development, Josh?
Oh, yeah.
What is
Yeah,
your feelings
big
on
time.
Arrested Development?
Oh, I love it. Can't get enough. Would rewatch the entire thing. Never saw the final season fully.
No.
Still need to catch up.
No, don't do it. Not worth it. It's not a good final season. Sorry to any Arrested Development fans. But the first original season's amazing. Who's your favorite character?
I like Bateman. He's an
You like Jason
everyman.
Bateman?
He's an
Yeah.
everyman. I mean, he's better looking than an everyman, but he's relatable. And the world around him is trying to destroy him constantly.
Right.
And I think we can all relate.
Yeah, so one of the people that are trying to destroy him is his brother, Job. And the reason I brought up Arrested Development is I think about Job's quote, I made a huge mistake. And that kind of makes me think about this episode. We'll see how it goes. All right,
right.
Josh, you ready?
Ready?
Okay, here we're going to go through a series of questions. I'm going to ask you some questions. You're going to answer them. I'm also going to answer them myself. So we have two sets of answers. All right, hopefully this is not confusing people already. This is not part of the quiz show genre of podcast, but it is trying to set it up.
Got
So we're going to use the fraud risk triangle as a kind of a confessional or possibly a hypothetical, depending on your answers, Josh. You ready?
Ready.
This is going to lead into something, believe it or not. Okay, the fraud risk triangle, pressure to do something. Do you have some pressure or need to do it? Commit a crime, fraud, ethics. There's an opportunity, that we talked about internal controls, segregation of duties. And then there's rationalization. That's the most interesting one to me. The story we tell ourselves that it's okay to do this particular crime, fraud, act. So we're going to start with rationalization. Josh, my question to you, have you ever cheated on a test or exam? Disclaimer, because this is public, Josh, and I am asking you this, just a reminder that the whole world will hear your answer. So
Yeah.
you could tell me a real thing or hypothetical, but there's my question.
I'm prepared to tell you the truth. I have
Good.
never, but only out of fear. Only out of, I think in my mind, the possible negatives outweigh any possible positives.
Right.
Like I'm generally pretty prepared on a test, or I just feel like getting caught would be the worst thing in the world for me.
Okay. You're a nerd like I am. You're
Yeah.
prepared for the test.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't occur to you, but you've said this before. You fear getting caught. That's one of your biggest reasons you won't do this.
I mean, if someone's like, just, there's no chance you'll get caught, I'm like, well, why am I, of course, like, obviously.
If there is no chance of getting caught, Josh is your man for a crime. Like zero chance. There we go.
Zero.
Put
I
that out
mean,
there.
zero.
Zero. Let me get. That's a tough one to get to zero. All right, so I'm going to ask that question of myself. And this is where I have to think about the same thing I told you. I'm going to go with the truth. And again, cheating, remember we always rationalize? When we say cheat, it's what does that mean? So I'm going to go back to the early 90s and a high school accounting class that I was in. I wasn't sure that I was going to be an accountant. It wasn't needed for part of what I needed to apply for school in terms of the grade. Shout out to Mr. Reboir, my grade 12 accounting teacher, who was also the hockey coach of my high school and was more of a hockey coach than an accounting teacher. Like he would make you do push-ups and possibly physically hurt you if you did something. Small guy, but really like burly. So in grade 12, I didn't think much about this accounting class or test. This is the final exam. And I remember not having studied for it. And it's the day before the final exam. And I'm like, well, and this is accounting, and I know, I don't know about this going on to air. And I thought, well, I'm in trouble here. And this is before any ChatGPT or internet. And so I call a friend of mine who tends to have prior year exams at his disposal. He has a Rolodex of prior year exams. So I call him. He's in my class for this. And I go, do you have the last year's exam? He goes, no, but I know who does. And so I go to their house, get a ride there with another classmate who was an idiot. We were both idiots. And we get the exam. And we're like, I can't study in time for this. Let's just study this exam. The prior exams are not supposed to be out there. Josh, what do you think of me at this point? Is this cheating?
It didn't sound like it would be the same exam that you were taking. It was just like a study. Like, isn't that what they do for SATs and stuff like that? I
Yes.
never took them, but you do practice tests on old tests.
See, this
Doesn't sound like cheating to me.
This feels very good, Josh. Thank you. I'll give you some information that will undermine that. Remember the hockey coach, accounting teacher? He's a lazy teacher. We all know this. I know this. Everybody knows this. So when I got that test, what did I think were the chances it could be the exact same exam? I didn't think it was 0.
No, I'm thinking 30.
I thought a little higher.
Oh.
And so I studied on that test. That's the only thing I studied. And I got into the exam room, and it was the exact same test.
Nice. See, I just feel like that's just good preparation.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. But I guess this is the gray areas of fraud, right? Like what we tell ourselves, that's either good preparation. How much did I really know that there was a chance that the test could be? And by the way, this guy was such, I don't know, a jabroni. I don't know what we could call him, this accounting teacher. He knew. The funniest thing about this is, remember that other person I was with?
Uh-huh.
This guy was not, I don't want to say this harshly, but he was not the sharpest tool in the shed.
Oh.
Okay?
Yeah.
By far. Like legally blonde kind of male equivalent. I loved him. He was a lovable doofus. Mm-hmm. So we both studied this. And so we're in the classroom and we turn it over, we flip it through, and I'm like, oh my God, this is the same test. I'm like, we did it. Remember, his lack of it, let's just say brights, intelligence, whatever you want to say, is known to everybody, including the teacher. And so half an hour, 45 minutes into a 2-hour exam, he confidently takes the paper, gets out of his chair, and turns it in.
No.
Signaling to everybody something is wrong because the not most bright person in the class I remember when I looked at him, I was trying to say, sit back down. What are you doing? You're going to get us all exposed.
Yeah.
But the other guy, because the exam actually went around to other people, so he went. And the other people who knew, they're like, tell your friend to get back down. And I'm like, he doesn't know any better.
Yeah.
Like a mice and men.
Yeah.
As soon as the teacher got that exam, he looked up and he was like, something's wrong. And he calls the A student into the class up to him while we're writing. And he says, do you guys have the exam? And he said no, but he knew. He knew. Yeah. So that was a long story to say that I don't know. But I guess the question is, so you said you wouldn't cheat if you had it. What if there was, like on a test, there was no chance of getting caught and the test was important to your job? Mm-hmm. You need like a safety test, like a test that you need to pass to show some level that you could handle equipment or something. You could cheat and not get caught. What would you do then?
Cheat.
I love it.
Yeah. Like a mandatory compliance test you have to take every year. And some of these you sit through, it's like a timed, in California, I've done these where it's timed. You have to be there for 60 minutes, no matter what the material is. It's just like sitting there is the test.
Right.
It's not what you know. There's a multiple choice, but if you get it wrong, you have as many chances as you want to get. I'm like, this is not really, like, I appreciate what they're teaching. It's not the material, but the test itself, I could care less.
Right. So that's really interesting, right? There is a point to this, by the way. We'll get to the fraud case. But you're seeing this as meaningless anyway. It's like not really adding that much value. And if you're not going to get caught, might as well, right? And I would do the same possibly, right? I have to say possibly just because
you've got more to lose.
I have more to lose. That's why this is either a very helpful podcast for those in a similar situation, or this is professionally destructive. I don't know. But
for me, it only adds to my street cred.
It only adds to your street cred. Okay, so because at zero risk,
of which I have zero. Yeah.
So when
any small bump would be appreciated.
Well, the street cred, like the toughness that you build, is in this particular situation on a compliance test with zero chance of getting caught. Josh, you would take that step.
Yeah. So I went from like 0 out of 100 to like 0.5 out of 100.
Okay. And that's giving you some street cred. I give you
A
some
little
street
bit. I just a little bit. That's all I'm asking.
cred. Okay. All right. So how would you feel if someone else did that? So let's just say a doctor.
I like that.
Oh, okay. This is good. I like this. This is a great case.
We're talking about numero uno here.
Right.
Numero uno, it's fine, but a doctor.
If it's you,
no,
a
thank
doctor has to do a compliance test. Maybe it's new medical procedures or an update, and that's required as part of their job. A lot of professions have it. Doctors, lawyers, engineers, something else. And that doctor took the same thought process. How would you feel if that doctor cheated on that test?
Not good.
Not
You're a doctor. You're supposed to do the homework.
That's right. I wouldn't feel good about it. So let's get into what happened this year. And this is fall under fraud. But really not fraud in the sense like the liquid gold and the maple syrup. And it's just more like a reminder about the same things that you're concerned about as someone who has a professional service world around you. Doctors, engineers, CPAs. So
They got to cross those T's and dot those I's. Those important professionals.
they do. They do. So here's what we're going to talk about. So you've done an announcement on this show, right? For credits, like for Sharif Consulting, right? We as CPAs have to have compliance hours for education. Okay. So that's something that I offer as Sharif Consulting. We've talked about it. You've done a good job with the promotion. So here we have a case where let's just say you're a professional and you feel the same way that you did about that particular instance where you were going to write the safety exam or whatever it was, the California one. Like, what would be, let's just say you're an important person like a doctor. What do you think's going through their mind if they're going to cheat on the test?
Well, doctors are overburdened with administrative duties, and if you could easily justify it to be like, I will have more time with my patients if I claw back these hours for this compliance thing. I know it all already or whatever, yeah, I could very easily. If I was the doctor, by the way, I'd give myself a pass.
Right. But as the patient or a person seeing a doctor, you don't like this.
I don't love it.
Okay. Well, here we go. Notice I've been skirting around this. June 2025 of this year. An organization called the PCAOB. Do you know what that stands for?
No idea.
No, you shouldn't. If you do, you're a CPA. The Public Company Accounting Oversight Board that oversees CPAs in the U.S. They released they had a press release in June. And again, this is about where we kind of sometimes fall down. And this is for CPAs in this case, in this situation. Josh, I'm going to send you hopefully a chat if it works. Let me know what you think. We'll have a broader point to what this means.
PCAOB, is there a way to say that?
No, you said it correctly. I wonder if you would have just tried to just make it a word. What would you have said?
PCAOB.
That's so funny.
Okay.
Yeah,
PCAOB imposes fines totaling $8.5 million on Netherlands member CPA firms after widespread exam misconduct. Ooh. Was there more for me to read?
No. Because they didn't really, we're going to have fun with trying to figure out how. But yeah, this is not maybe as exciting as the liquid gold and other ones, but I thought it was interesting because I think part of this podcast was when can anybody feel vulnerable in that fraud risk triangle? And that includes those that have to use the fraud risk triangle as part of their jobs, including CPAs. This happened in a country called the Netherlands. Josh, what do you know about the Netherlands?
Windmills.
Right. Just go into all the stereotypes.
Red
I want
light
to hear.
districts.
Okay.
A paradise of bicycles, and a friendly people who speak English very well, and you wouldn't expect them to be cheating on their CPA qualifications.
Right. So the first one you went with, what was the first one? Before
Windmills.
red light district. Windmills. It was Windmills. Then the red light district. I loved your ordering there.
Their land is sinking. They need these windmills. They pump water out. Without the windmills, the water would just the whole island would sink. Is it an island
I don't
territory?
think it's
I went on a cruise once, and they told me that the Netherlands is very, very good about pumping water because without it, their whole country would sink.
That makes me think about the liquid gold case because, they needed to pump water out of those ponds. They could have gone, maybe it's easier in the Netherlands since they're already doing it.
They needed a windmill at their
They needed a
disposal.
windmill. It's very funny. It's like Vegas, this one, right? It's like, so how was your trip in Vegas? Oh, I love the shows. What's Netherlands? Oh, windmills.
Windmills.
The Anne Frank Museum. That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you said ethical and honest, I think, or implied that. So we're dealing with, maybe a view of the people as being, as a culture, being ethical. And there was widespread cheating. And this was the PCOB is the enforcer for CPAs. The reason that they enforced it in the Netherlands is that these firms were the big ones. I won't name their names just in case they want to sponsor a podcast. And I feel like if I say the names, even though this is public record, we might lose them. And I always want to keep options open for anyone who wants to sponsor the show. So, yeah, we will just say it's firms not to be named here on this podcast, but big ones. And, yeah, 8.5 million. And this happened before, too. It happened in the U.S. a couple of years. So what are your feelings now about this in terms of, like we talked about the fraud risk triangle. These are CPAs, and this is internal compliance exams. These were on, CPAs sometimes have to be independent of their clients. There's other ethical considerations. So this is not to qualify to be a CPA. This is for the firm as a requirement of being a CPA firm and having these types of services. What do you feel like now that you've read that and soaked it all in?
I'm curious, what is the information that they're sidestepping? Is it crucial information? Is it going to affect their job, or is it just some nonsense qualification that doesn't really mean anything? I could see this being a bunch of nonsense, and if it was
your
so
California
widespread,
one.
yeah, if it was super, super widespread, maybe there was a reason people didn't consider it worthwhile.
Right.
I would give maybe the benefit of the doubt unless I knew a little more.
That's nice. I don't think you've given this accounting community the benefit of the doubt.
I've been pretty hard on the accounting community because they are often poised with opportunity to pull off widespread fraud.
Right. And now they're
Not
cheating on
often.
ethics. Now they're cheating on ethics exams. So this is the line I have to be careful here because I'm not speaking ill of our profession or the Netherlands. I think they're great people. Windmills. And I think chocolate.
Could be.
Just put that out there as a question mark. Chocolate question mark. So I have to be careful here because I think the reason that I thought this would be interesting is it kind of works this is why we have a G-rated true crime. There's other podcasts where there's, all kinds of blood and gore happening, and this is cheating on a compliance exam. We're in a different space of true crime.
Yeah, crime nonetheless. True.
Paper cuts maybe, but not real blood but crime nonetheless.
Yeah.
And this one is it's sort of a crime against my profession in a sense. So it was interesting to think about this case as we come towards, I'll date this podcast towards the end of the year with compliance and everything else. Because I think one of the things that I've thought about as we've done this podcast is that we're all human, right? We're all susceptible to that fraud risk triangle, except for you with any inkling of risk, you just won't do it. But the rationalization part, I think, is always available. And I think that's something that I always think about when we do these cases, even something that maybe smaller like this that affects my profession. So first of all, Josh, have you seen Spies Like Us?
No.
It's Dan Aykroyd and Chevy Chase. Very funny.
Dan.
It probably is extremely when you go back to 80s films. I just watched Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh, yeah.
And there's some problematic things in those. But yes, I'm not recommending that the audience watch it because we might get some comments back because those movies, particularly around women, don't always hold up. But I'm going to recommend it to you because that movie was one of the funniest movies I'd ever seen because they tried to get into a military program, Dan Aykroyd and Chevy Chase, and the things they do to cheat the exam are the funniest things. How would you, you heard a little bit about it in terms of, you're a CPA, you're in the Netherlands, we should probably stay away from Dutch, Mike Myers sort of Dutch accent situations. Not that you're going to do that. You might have. I don't know. Unless you're Dutch.
If I could pull off the accent, I would.
Well, then go ahead.
Sadly,
cannot. There's no one's going to be offended except an entire country. But if you're so let's just say, how would you do this, Josh? I'm just curious. Be creative. How would you're a CPA? We'll talk about why you might want to do this, but how would you do it?
What is the format of the test? Is it just something like on a computer?
Yeah.
Or something like that?
Yeah, it's on a computer.
I guess you could just Google, you could use ChatGPT, you could...
Right.
Just like middle schoolers all around the world now, it's just easy to do an online test these days and get a perfect answer. Yeah, that would be my first obvious guess, unless there's some reason I couldn't. Right.
So that's for yourself. What if you're like a nice person and people are like, everyone thinks this test is something they should cheat on, and the exam test questions are basically, the same. How would you get that information to pass it along?
Oh, well, I suppose that this is like any profession. There's like basically a small town vibe where you know someone who did it, and yeah, you do it this year, I'll do it next year. Let's pass it around. That kind of camaraderie, I would think.
Well, so this is nice. Like, friendships are being made.
Yeah, it's a bonding opportunity.
That's good. That's like good sort of communications. Like one of those things where you go to a corporate retreat and you do bonding. And this, instead of making something with popsicle sticks, you cheat on the exams together. Right?
Yeah,
That's even more bonding.
It's nice.
Josh, I'm just curious. This is like a Spies Like Us. It's in my head. Let's just say it's a paper-based exam. You're in an exam room.
Oh.
Okay? And you got to cheat. What do you do? And I'll tell you what happens in Spies Like Us. But this is like a little bit of improv. Like, how would you cheat? So that's not what happened here. Obviously, it's electronic and all this stuff. And it's not so, the way this happened is not so crazy. Like, they just shared answers. We'll get into the thinking, but just roll it back. How would you do it on a paper exam?
I'm trying to remember. Because I get my son, who's almost 15, reports. He's not a class cheater. He's sort of like me. He's just pretty good. He prepares for the tests and whatever.
Yeah.
But
that's
his
good.
Friends,
congratulations.
We get reports from like the kid who cheated, and it's always like very creative.
Yeah, that's what I mean. What's a creative side?
Wrote the answers on the inside of a Sprite bottle wrapper, and like you could see it through the bubbly liquid.
Does that actually happen?
Yeah, stuff like that, or just like wrote it on their arm. And I always thought, like, if you take the time to write a whole crib notes on your arm, you're essentially studying. Just do it a day or two ahead of time, and like you said, you'll retain that information. Writing it down is a very good study technique. So I don't know.
That's so funny. That has also been a theme of this podcast. Like, the work it takes to break the rules, cheat, do something illegal. Like, it's just sometimes, is it worth it when you could probably spend maybe even less time just doing it honestly?
Yeah, like, I appreciate a good smash and grab where it's like, yeah, effort to reward is like, there's a very good, reason for that happening. But yeah, if you're like building an enterprise and you have to like hire people and it takes 2 years and overtime, and you might as well just buy a Subway, franchise and just write it out that way.
Redirect your energy there. I like the Sprite one. That's funny.
Yeah, it's pretty good, right?
Pretty good. I remember it from Spies Like Us, so I remember the two. So I forget who does it. It's funny. I think Chevy Chase. So he's chewing gum, and when the teacher walks away, he just like rolls out this thing. This answer sheet. I'm like, he takes the gum out, which is not gum. It's like little cheat sheets that have been like stacked together. And I forget, either Dan Aykroyd or Chevy Chase, they have it. One guy has an eye patch, and every time a teacher goes away.
Oh, the old eye patch.
The eye patch.
His eye's always bothering him around test time.
Oh my gosh. He only wears the eye patch. Yeah, that's right. He only wears it. It was more, I think, creative when it was maybe paper than it is. But anyway, I like that, the Sprite one. Do you have a creative one? If you were to like just sometimes you can amaze yourself.
I hacked one of these things I had to take where I didn't cheat on the answers, but there was this timed test I had to take, and it was basically like a hour-long PowerPoint, and they read every single word on the PowerPoint, and you couldn't click forward until it was finished reading. It was almost like playing a video game, and it's like you got the story, and you just want to freaking, get to the game.
Right.
And so I went into Reddit and I was like, what do I do?
Oh my God, it's so
And they're like, oh, you can just go into the code and enter this code, and then you can skip. You can just read it, skip. It doesn't give you the answers. I wouldn't even consider it cheating. But I used ChatGPT to write code to
this is awesome.
go into the what do you call it, like the code of the website, put it in, and I was able to skip, and then I took the test, and I knew the information. It wasn't that. It was just I saved myself 45 minutes.
That's amazing creativity. It's not like you came up with the idea, but the thought to go to Reddit and get it. Again, we're not promoting fraud on this podcast. And you might, on the post-production side, make sure that you're okay with that being public. But that's the reality. Sometimes you don't see the need for it and it's a waste of time. And that's the thing, right? I think when it comes to like the things like opportunity around fraud, a lot of times you put controls in place. Like they put controls in place for that exam that you have to go through the entire PowerPoint. But if nobody cares about the materials, people will find a way to circumvent controls. I always this is why I thought about this. Maybe this is less funny, but more sort of soapbox oriented. Like in this case, these CPAs didn't think this thing mattered. They're busy. They got a lot of deadlines, a lot of pressure, just like you said for the doctors. And no one is actually telling them this is important. Right? Like they're just getting this as part of their Wednesday. They got to spend 4 hours doing this. And so no one has echoed this. No one has given them any meaning or value in it. So that's the rationalization. And it doesn't matter. It's like a lot of times opportunity, you can't have controls that create zero risk. Like zero risk that something will happen where somebody breaks those controls. I always think down to you have to care about the thing, right? You have to we can even do the clip show now. I feel like you have to care. Like CPAs have to care about that exam. That process has to matter to them. And I always think that's an important part for fraud prevention, is that people have to care. Like segregation duty is important, security cameras, all of these things. But yeah, somebody has to care, especially the internal, because this is an internal fraud. Like I don't know if it's fraud. That's a harsh word. Don't get bad at me, CPA professions. I'm on your side. I'm not denigrating our profession, but I'm just using it as an example. But I think you got to care. Like, how do you make people care, though? That's the question.
Yeah, I don't know.
We could have just filled that with silence there, because I don't know.
But I think if caring is one sense to build caring is the consequence. Like I cared to do tests in high school because the consequence was I would screw up my future.
Right.
I
think consequence is interesting, right? If you don't do this or you cheat, you get caught. But I don't know. I think consequence, you can rationalize. Like, what's the consequence here? Like, of actually cheating, there didn't feel like there was much other than getting caught, right? I just as a clip show. Let's just do this as a clip show. The liquid gold, the maple syrup heist. You're going to have to now, I'm forcing our listeners to listen to our other episodes.
Yeah.
Let's just say we don't put a control in place, but we create a motivation for those to say, don't do this. Like, what would it have been where didn't want to do this instead of, even if they didn't have cameras? This is an interesting sort of thought experiment to me.
Yeah, I mean, for him, he really cared about freedom and, not being kept down by the man, which was telling him when he could sell his maple syrup. So for him, it was an expression of, personal freedoms, and I think that's what he cared about. So I don't know what would change his mind on that.
I think that's one of the things that the FPAQ could have done, right? They could have really said, let's engage those that are disenfranchised by us.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just see if we can bring them in, because if you bring them in, you try to find out where they can change. They're trying to make a really important case, like a heartfelt case about why they exist. Maybe if X says, maybe he thinks about it, but he thinks, at least this organization is trying. He's trying to help us all the maple syrup farmers or farmer. We didn't figure out what they're called. What about Real? Like Philip Real? Like I think about that case, right? He started to use a lot of falsehoods about how he was using the money. Then he ran out of cash flow. There could have been a number of things that may have prevented him in terms of other stakeholders. But what would have stopped himself from doing that?
Right. I felt like he wanted to be a pillar in his community. And even though he was stealing from people, he cared about how he was seen. So for him, finding that stature was important. And he happened to do it through fraud, but there was maybe some other way he could have accomplished that goal.
Yeah, I mean, that one's a little harder, right? Like, it's like, how does he get that sense that he doesn't need to go to that extent of committing a crime to get the same stature. This is very philosophical, this episode, right? Because I think about this because in this series, we've thought about like, more cameras, less vests, more vests. I don't know, but we've landed on that. More
security
vests,
guaranteed entry into any locked facility. Like
right. So that maybe we're saying less vests, don't wear vests, but that doesn't seem like that's going to be helpful. We've talked a lot about, those controls, but, this case reminded me of like motivation and the rationalization. Like, if you don't care about something, if you don't feel it's meaningful, like there's two versions, like real cared but thought he could maybe help by committing fraud. But sometimes it's just like, I don't care about this. I don't care about the FPAQ. I don't care about this exam. I think about the Louvre heist. Like, I don't care about the Louvre and their jewels and what they mean historically to France and what it represents to their national identity. I don't care. In fact, not only do I not care, I want to damage that. That's like the FPAQ. They wanted to damage it. I just sometimes think there's a level of giving people a reason to care where there's opportunity to do something wrong that maybe possibly works against it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, no, I don't know what the solution is. Even though someone doesn't care about damaging the national history of like the Louvre jewels, like maybe they care about like why are they doing it, but they must care about something. What is it? And
right.
Maybe it's getting themselves out of a jam, or maybe it's just greed, right? I care about enriching myself. But I think it's usually like, isn't there often a desperation behind these, or something that
there is a desperation, but I think we've also talked about that most people that are not sociopaths, they need to either see it as a valuable thing that they're going to get back, feel it real, listen to that one, or the thing that they're taking, they don't see it as meaningful. Like for the gold heist, the gold, you have to get there, but the gold kind of does belong to somebody. It goes somewhere. You'd have to really like go to like, who am I actually taking this from?
Right.
And these are hard things.
Insurance company.
Yeah, and then it's hard. But in this case, like these types of smaller frauds, and I do think about the liquid gold one as it relates to this one, you should put, they're going to put up more controls around the ethics, compliance, and all that. There's going to be more probably secure stuff that you can't. The change to the test space would be one of them. This is very Mr. Brevoire type situation that you could share exams answers because the exam didn't change. Mr. Brevoire might have been part of the Netherlands exam committee. Mr. Brevoire, if he's listening to this, he's going to find me and come at me with a hockey stick. I know. I'm putting my life on the line in so many ways for this. I know.
He's still using the same test.
He's still using... 2025, that test has not changed. He did not learn a lesson from that. And I think giving people, at least it's the holiday season, giving people meaning can be as maybe we should put this on a t-shirt. Giving people meaning is as much as installing a security camera.
Oh, yeah.
We'll let our viewers decide, and our editor, if that's worth much. How do you feel about that?
It's a heartwarming holiday sentiment. And no, it's true. Like, I do think a lot of these frauds have gone on for years, and there's a certain amount of hands-off. The fruitcake fraud, the owner who didn't really discover this and maybe just could have been a little more involved, could have...
care about
the company, but he didn't care enough to kind of get into the details.
Right. Like, if you care about your company, you just won't do that because you're hurting the company. You're taking millions of dollars in the case of the case. And even Rita Crunwell, right? Like, Kelly, when she described all the things that happened to Dixon, like... then that would have happened to Rita's neighbors. That would have happened to the people she knew. Like, it just, I don't know. I'm not suggesting that we have to give people meaning so that they don't do wrong. I just sometimes there are things like this, what seems like a benign situation with exam cheating for CPAs. And I just think they didn't care about the test, so why should they not? Like, it's a logical conclusion. If they don't care, nobody seems to care. Why wouldn't you just share the exams and move on to the real work of being a CPA, saving lives? Right.
And is there a solution that you could have foreseen? Or how does it work in places where they don't cheat? Like, what is it that makes them care?
Yeah, I mean, I think with fraud, it is hard, right? Obviously, there's no amount of meaningfulness and like consequence and damage that may stop somebody from doing something that will hurt others. Like, that's just the way it is. Then the controls really do matter. But I think there are also these cases like this one. That's why I thought it was interesting to say, what is a solution? I think you talked about it, right? Because you didn't, that California exam, it didn't really matter. Like, you weren't learning anything. It like didn't change the nature of the test. Make it scenario based. Make it so that it is something that it's giving the value of why you're taking the compliance test in the first place, so that it matters to the person taking it. I think that's what you would try to do.
Yeah, and I cared about the material. Like I did think it was important, but I didn't care for the way it was like laid out, where you have to be there for a full hour when it's really a 10-minute,
Yeah.
multiple choice test.
I think those are all little things. Like, I think sometimes we don't think about ways in which we tell somebody this doesn't matter. Like, your time doesn't matter, this test doesn't matter, just get to the end of the line, finish it. And it just creates the opportunity. So yeah, this is the way I wanted to record our final podcast for the year, with a CPA exam cheating scandal that hopefully doesn't alienate my CPA audience. I love you because I am one. I am one of you. Josh might have done that because he's...
This is the level of risk taking that I'm comfortable with in my life. Like,
I will have to listen to this episode to see how much professional damage I may have caused myself, but it's public. It's public. What do you think, Josh? You think putting this out there... I think this is just a question about
I think
anybody.
Like encouraging, members of your community of accountants to take these tests seriously. And
I sound like Mr. Belding from Saved by the Bell.
well, there's something about it does erode trust to a certain extent.
Right.
It's about, if it was a doctor, I don't think there would be a lot of people who are like saying, yeah, they shouldn't have to take those tests. Accountants, maybe. I don't know if people feel quite as strongly, but certainly it could be important material on those tests. I don't know. I would prefer if my accountant was, doing the homework.
It's not a good look for us. And I think the other sort of broader point for our non-CPA listeners, because we're actually getting some non-CPA listeners, Josh.
Yeah.
They might be put off by this episode, even though, there's been non-CPA talk. I think it's just that, sometimes with these frauds, we put a lot of emphasis on these controls, but we also kind of think about what was the culture like too. And again, it's always a fine line to say culture created the reason for someone to do something wrong. That's hard to say. That's a really the big leap. But even with Rita Cronwell, I don't want to justify her actions at all. What was the culture of that city hall? How did she feel valued? How did she feel like that's part of her job? Maybe she had all of those things and she still was just a jerk and stole the money. But maybe there were parts I've seen. We're going to examine more frauds in 2026 if we get picked up, right? Do we go through a renewal like in a TV series? Is that how it works?
When do we get our letter?
Do we get season 2? Because even one of those seasons, it's season 1. You're like, what
season
happened?
2. You know what? We should start a season 2.
We need a green light from somebody. Hollywood Reporter, let us know. We get season 2. Because otherwise, this is the way it's going to end. I remember a show called Unscripted, which I really liked. It was George Clooney produced it. It was about these acting students, working their way through the LA scene. I thought it was great. This was when I was acting in LA in 2009, and I watched it. I'm like, this is great. Where's season 2?
Oh, no season 2.
No season 2. Not that I know of. Maybe this podcast will help revive it. There's a lot of revivals. Unscripted.
Clooney can do whatever he wants now.
Listen, Clooney's he's listening.
Yeah.
Come on, Clooney.
Yeah, we should. It'll be like the Arrested Development, the new season, 8 years later.
That didn't work as well. I'm interested in Scrubs.
Wait, are they doing a new Scrubs? Really?
Yes.
What?
This is gonna be the thing.
Based on the
10
Verizon
years.
Commercial, those guys.
I don't know if it's based on the Verizon commercial. You're gonna see reboots of everything. There's certain shows from the 80s that won't get rebooted for reasons I can't say. One of my favorite ones will not happen because of criminal charges, but I think they'll look for a lot of these shows.
Murder, She Wrote? Is it time? Do we get a new Murder, She Wrote?
Murder, She Wrote would be awesome. Angela Lansbury, God rest her soul, is not with us anymore, but I would like that.
The helm of Murder, She Wrote.
That's a good one. Dame Judi Dench.
Oh, yeah. I'd buy it.
We did it. This is happening right now. I think that's a pitch. I like that you thought Murder, She Wrote needs a revival, and
yeah.
I think we got someone in the lead. I would love to. I wonder if Golden Girls could get revived, or is it too hard? B. Arthur, Betty White. You just can't. You can't.
I don't know. There was a perfect alchemy.
There was a perfect alchemy.
Perfect cast. It would be like reviving Friends. How do you get that perfect?
Yeah. I think Golden Girls is harder to revive than Friends. I think you could revive Friends, but Golden Girls, that was special. I'm watching a show called Pluribus from the same creator, Vince Gilligan, who did Breaking Bad.
Oh, really?
And Better Call Saul. Oh, it's very good. But Golden Girls is interesting. That's part of that show in terms of what very good. I think we've moved into recommendations of TV shows for
Drop
revivals.
down to pop culture, hashtag true crime /
You only get one choice.
That's so...
Should I just toggle between them as we
limiting.
record an episode?
I feel like true crime's the right place to be.
Well, let us know. We got comments. We got an email address. What's our email address?
Email us at fraudcomplexpodcast@gmail.com.
Right. Email us to let us know this is true crime. I feel like it is, but if you have a different take on it, then let us know. We might not, I don't know if we'll change based on a couple takes. Unless it's, the one person who has actually emailed us. If she tells us to change, then we might need to change.
We listen to our listeners.
We do. We listen to our listener. Well, the one who responds. We have a lot of listeners. Actually, we're doing all right as a show. We're doing all right. I also put us to true crime to see if we could get into the new true crime shows.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what I was thinking. Guys, there's a new podcast and it's true crime. And guess what? They did a CPA exam scandal on the last episode. You got to watch this. You got to listen to this thing. Watch it on Spotify. Listen to it. I think we're going to catch fire.
It's never been done. It's never been
done.
It's new
That's
territory.
True. And if something's never been done, it should definitely move into the top 10 list on Apple. I feel like that's a prerequisite.
Yeah, I feel good about how we're positioning things. And with a heartwarming end of year message as well.
Yeah. And also, I think as we come to an end, a pitch. Murder, She Wrote with
Dame Judi Dench.
Yeah. We need to see that. If they're bringing Scrubs back, I don't know how that's going to work. I hope it's okay. Josh, any final thoughts as we wrap up? I guess season 1. I know it's not the way it works here. I'm just going to call it season 1.
Season 1?
Of the Fraud Complex.
I actually was thinking through, all the... Part of why I got into this was I just am interested in fraud and, I'm a screenwriter and I wanted to learn more and have an excuse to kind of go through the mechanics of fraud. And the one that I keep thinking would make a good movie is the fruitcake fraud.
Yeah.
Because it's got that personal side. It's a love story. It's a husband and wife, but it's all about being belittled and feeling small and maybe large. And it's got a really quirky setting, in Texas. And I'm just and I've been thinking about that fruitcake. We finally finished the fruitcake you sent to me. Right. And I'm like, I'm out of fruitcake. It's holiday times. And I'm craving it. I'm craving it. And if anything, I think those guys, they got a new fan,
You mean the McKays or the
McKays,
the Collins Street Bakery?
Yeah, the bakery. Yeah, I don't know. That one resonates.
So that's your we could end on this. That was your favorite. Was it one of your favorites to do?
Yeah, it was one of the ones that I just felt like had the most intrigue and personal. I was sympathetic and yet also I just love the idea of those guys living large on fruitcake.
I keep seeing Melissa McCarthy and who's that other actor that I see in that role? He is a comic book fan. He's in a lot of things. He's a comedian.
Patton Oswalt.
I thought those two together, and I'm surprised they haven't. We're making a lot of pitches here. We should make sure that if these happen with these actors, and that includes Murder, She Wrote, that we have litigation ready to go for our ideas, that we get some residual from that, right? I think
I would appreciate that.
I would appreciate. So that's your first. I'll tell you what mine was in terms of things that I kind of think about when it comes to. I really like that liquid gold. I like that maple syrup heist. I thought it was really you did a great job with it. I thought it was really complex because it wasn't just a heist, but it was this conglomerate, this thing. FPAQ, it's just so wild to me. And then all the details about how this happened, and now just all the tragic sort of 1 year, $1 million of profit out of $10 million of syrup. I just thought it's sad. Similar. It's sad. Similar to the fruitcake one, there's sort of a tragic comedy vibe to it that could play for both drama and humor. And I think that's similar to the fruitcake one that I would like to see differently. I know they did it as a Netflix series, but you're right. I think you pointed this out in the episode. They didn't need to put in any false violence or murders or anything. They just straight up just do it the way it was. Maybe add some color to the characters for sure. But I thought that was a really interesting case.
Yeah, I mean, I always wanted to know more about that. That's one reason I chose it. Just like, yeah, how much work it was. It just seems insane. Like, you just basically started a night shift trucking company, and you could have just started a night shift trucking company that hauled legitimate, you know what I mean? Like nobody got paid overtime. Like,
I think it's so funny because I just see a film where they're doing a crime, and every time they're doing this is like, generally there's excitement, we're gonna steal this, and there's this energy. Now they just feel with remorse and sadness as they are stealing this. Like, this is not because of the work involved. I think it's a very funny concept. I think it's very funny. I would love to see it as I've never seen a heist film where they're like, this is so much work and I'm so unhappy with this heist.
Yeah.
I think this is I hate my job as a heister. Like, I've never seen that. Like, my job as a heister doesn't pay all that well. The hours are terrible.
yeah,
And it's a criminal act. I'm going to potentially go to jail. My coworkers, they seem distant. Like, it's just a whole workplace comedy. To me, I think it's amazing.
yeah. The downside of heisting just being like, it's just the day-to-day grind.
Just a job.
It's
Like
just a
Michael
job.
Scott kind of running the thing, and but you're stealing. I think it's a good concept. All right, we pitched a few to Hollywood out there, so I think we'll save some of the good stuff for us. Josh, you're a screenwriter. You know, maybe you'll develop something. You're already doing some amazing stuff, but we don't want to give all the secret sauce away.
I just think a fruitcake movie would be.
Yeah.
I think there's something there, and I don't know. I can see it.
It is. No, 100%. That story is crazy. It's funny. It's sad. And big thing in these types of frauds that have that sense that you can turn into a television show is that actually the people are likable. Like, the K's were likable.
It's a
they were
Christmas
they seem
movie,
likable. It is fruitcake, right? I would like to know the post. Maybe we should do this. Like, season 2, if we get renewed by the powers that be, we can do some postscripts. Like, what happened in the case? Where are they? What are they doing? Would they like to be on the podcast?
Yeah, tell their side.
Because we're with them, kind of, except for the fraud itself. But in terms of people, we like them.
Yeah, find out where they are.
Can't send them a fruitcake. I'm pretty sure that would be bad taste.
Fruitcake with a file in it.
Yeah, that's funny. Maybe then that might actually get them on the podcast. All right, Josh, this has been great. I appreciate you taking the space for me to do that. Ultimately, like an exam cheating scandal for CPA is very specific, but I thought we did it. We had fun with it. That's it for season 1. Officially called season 1 of the Fraud Complex. We're going to produce more if we get renewed by the Hollywood Reporter. No, we're going to do more. I think we like this, and I like it. I mean, I spoke for you. Do you like this?
We've got more in the pipeline. There's a lot of very exciting fraud to deal with that we haven't dealt with. So yeah, there's still
we need the
more work
frauds to
be
keep
done.
happening for our show to keep going. So.
Yeah, keep thinking big, you guys. None of these day-to-day grind frauds. Let's have more smash and grab.
I love the smash and grab. We'll do a smash and grab. I mean, the Louvre was a smash and grab.
Yeah, and a very successful one.
I think there's another one that you mentioned that I'm interested to do. We'll ... We'll see. It might be slow moving, but I'm interested in that one. This is a callback for those that listen to another episode as to which one. I think Josh did. I
don't know.
Did I give it away? You didn't know?
No, I don't know.
All right. Well, then you'll have to stay with me as we crawl our way into that one. Everyone, have a great... I guess we're not supposed to date this. Like, why do I not know what I'm doing on this? Have a great time. Doing your thing, and we'll see you when we do next episode. Is that a good end?
That's a good end.
Thank you. Thanks for listening.